back to Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged. Today we're excited because we're in one of our favorite cities in Savannah, Georgia. It's an amazing city for a lot of reasons, and as you can tell by the background noise, we're in an actual business, and we are sitting next to someone that we love to talk to, and that is a family-owned business owner. And Lisa, we're going to talk to you in just a second, but if you're brand new to the show at Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged, you can learn more at bobbyeandtonilee.com and dailydisciples.org. And we love meeting people who have a story, okay? So it's a great happenstance as we came to Georgia to film the TV show. And I walked around the corner on a day that I wasn't filming and saw the Italian flag outside and thought, oh, I'm gonna walk in and see if they're open. And so I met Lisa, and I have to tell you, Lisa, and go ahead and your full name is?
Lisa Mara.
Lisa Mara. You own this store with your family, is that correct?
Yes, it's a family-owned business.
How long have you had it?
We're here in this location for 8 years.
Wow, nice.
But we've been a family business for 30 years.
30 years?
Yeah.
So how did you get into this business?
I was kind of born in the food industry. My mother was a caterer, loved to cook, so I was born into that. And then going on vacation one year to Italy, I met my husband, who is a chef. And so there goes my destiny.
There you go.
I've never been far from the kitchen, but I love it. I love to see people enjoy food.
Now tell us a little bit about this place, because I know that when we first talked, you said one of our signature, if you want to say, what sets us apart is that you actually import a lot of your ingredients from Italy.
Right. We first of all, we're like all natural, and we use a lot of organic ingredients. And my biggest draw for this business was to offer healthy foods for the children, for the busy moms. And you know, I was a busy mom at one time, running my kids here and there, and sometimes I had to rely on fast food, and I wasn't happy and I wasn't proud. Yeah. So given the same thing, fast food, but good food, and that's what started and prompted us. Also the misconception about pasta. People think pasta's the boogeyman, but it's not. It's actually, if it's done right in its natural form, it actually lowers your glycemic index and lowers your risk of type 2 diabetes. So you could eat pasta every day. Which we do.
Sounds really nice to me.
Yeah.
Now, Tony, TL, you have a little bit about your Italian background.
I'm very Italian.
To what
we ate pasta every Sunday and Tuesday night of the week.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But there was always somehow pasta made it into the meals.
Yeah.
You know, so.
it has to say hello somewhere.
Yeah. And as we look around, you not only have your food that you're serving, but you also have some things that you're selling with the pastas. Where do they come from?
Well, we also do a bit of factory work here. We supply Whole Foods, Lucky's, a lot of independent stores, small stores, and then of course restaurants.
Wow,
And
that's cool.
All our products that are shelf stable are all natural. It's kind of like the old bottling technique that your grandparents were doing.
Yeah.
And so it's just a kind of pH and alkaline balance. For the things that we can't sell shelf stable, we sell frozen. So you can pop in and get a meal for your family, and you know that it's made with all the best ingredients. And we eat the food too. So
there you go. You also said that your sons are because of COVID right now, your sons are helping you and living with you. And
well, they've always helped us because we're a family business, but I don't pay them now. But they're living at home.
Their family,
so,
yeah.
They get a roof over their heads, right?
So we're blessed that we can contain what we have to pay out, and but we feed them and we keep them in the house. So.
Well, Bobbye and I, we believe in miracles, and you have two miraculous stories. One that has to deal with your Italian bred and born husband.
Right.
And then the other one is you and your miracle of breast cancer.
Absolutely.
So why don't you tell us all what happened?
Yeah. If everyone who knows me, I tell everybody these stories, and I think more than ever, we need to hear and see miracles happen.
Amen.
And for me, when I tell people about the miracles, I always get two reactions. One is yes, they believe it, they get it. The other one, they look at me kind of sideways. And I understand that look because the hardest thing about receiving a miracle is believing it.
That's right.
And that's where everybody falls short. And I'm like, and I try to keep telling people, it's out there. I'm not an angel. I'm not a saint. I have my my flaws. But when it comes to believing and knowing what my Father has promised
Amen.
me, I stand on it. And
Right.
you can't even budge me. I mean, but when people do come in, for me, it's a feel-good story for them, and maybe there's some kind of hope in their life that I can touch. So,
What happened? So how long has it been that when you were diagnosed, walk us through kind of what happened?
well, it's a little bit of a crazy story. In 2008, I had just lost my job, and I had suffered an injustice as far as economics and whatnot, and so I had a lot of anger, and probably hate too, and so it was festering, and I kept saying, this is going to make me sick. I'm going to get sick. Lo and behold, I got sick. And when I did, when I was diagnosed with the breast cancer, it was a wake-up call. And I proved that what you believe you receive, because there I was. And so now I was like, okay, Lord, this is what I should have done in the beginning, put it in your hands and not be prideful or not, try to take it on myself, because it's your divine. And so I started saying, okay, this is it. Things are going to change. I forgive everyone. I ask for forgiveness for whoever I need to, and now I have to heal. And it was hard, because I still had that old man mentality, but for me it was life or death. And so I just started saying, okay, Lord, I'm believing that this is not the end for me. There's some lessons that I have to learn. And so I'm claiming this perfect healing that is available to me.
That's awesome.
And I never wavered. And I used to make fun. I used to tell people that I didn't want ants in my picnic. And for me, an ant wasn't a negative thought. So any negative thought, I just made them go
That's
away.
Right. You took your thoughts captive, right?
With the blood of Jesus Christ.
And
Yeah.
also,
Amen.
you said, vengeance is the Lord. And
Yes.
this isn't my place to hold on to this anger
Right.
and bitterness.
Great.
And we have been
'Cause
in that place
Yes.
too, that we've
Yeah.
had to say, Lord,
Yes.
this has to be yours.
Yeah. I mean, you see injustice, and it hurts, but it's not. That's
not for us.
That's on them, and you hope and you pray. My mother used to always say, pray for your enemies. And at the time, I'd say, no, you pray for them. I don't hit them, but but that's not.
It's not. Then it's not in your own strength.
Right.
So jump ahead to whenever you were fully diagnosed. I know they wanted to probably do a mastectomy.
Absolutely. So
What happened whenever you went in and?
Well, when I first got diagnosed, of course, they did all the testing, and I didn't believe it, so I went to another hospital and another lab, and I got 2 results, and then I sent it yet to a 3rd one, and I got the same result, and I'm like, okay, this isn't changing.
Yeah, right.
So that's when I started praying and just like asking. But one particular night, I was, and I had refused chemo and I had refused radiation, and I was sitting in the backyard, and I had a couple glasses of wine with my husband. He makes homemade wine.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
You're Italian.
And I started shaking really a lot. And I said to my husband, I'm getting a healing. And of course he said, no, I think you had too much wine. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure it's a healing. And so I was scheduled for a double mastectomy, because I had invasive lobular as well as invasive ductal. And the invasive lobular kind of takes over. It's that silent, deadly cancer that you don't see. I was lucky that it was on the border of another cancer. So it's one that just kind of encompasses and takes over. And so I called up the next day, and I said to my doctor, I don't need the double mastectomy because I'm healed. And she said, please just come in the office and let me talk to you. And I thought, she's going to try to talk me out of it. And, your faith could be fragile. So I needed to keep it up.
You're thinking, am I crazy?
Yeah.
Is this really happening? Right.
I said, I don't want to hear the negative, and I don't, and it's not that I was in denial. I was trying to stand on my faith. So I went there, and she tried her best, and I said no, and I felt triumphant when I said, nope, this is my decision. I get home, and then my sons, they said, Mom, we can't handle it. We worry about you if you have a cold, if you have this, we just don't know. And at that moment, I thought about them and I said, all right, I'll do it. But I called them up and I said, but I'm waiting until after the soccer championship because I've waited 4 years. And they didn't like that, but they said, okay. And so in the meantime, I just went on believing in my miracle and never wavered. I mean, people would say, I heard you had cancer. I said, oh, yeah, I had it. For me, it was already gone.
That's amazing.
So when the day came, when they did the double mastectomy, there was no cancer.
Wow.
It was gone.
That is incredible.
And I remember the doctor, bless her heart, she was so sweet. She was so nervous delivering this to me. And I said to her, don't worry. I said, I knew it was, and I didn't do it because I was fearful. I did it because my sons. I could handle my own faith, but I couldn't handle their doubts.
Right.
Yeah, what God gives you doesn't mean He's given it to them.
Right,
That's right.
Right.
And
And He gave you the grace to walk through it.
incredible.
Right. And I even had Christian friends who said, oh, you should sue. And I said, sue, it's a miracle.
Right.
You know, you can't throw that in anyone's face.
So, I mean, you have a write-up actually on your shelves about it.
Yeah.
So this story became very well known.
It did.
And it truly is a miracle. You know, we hear these stories.
Yeah.
Everybody prays for it.
Right.
We have friends that are dealing with cancer now, and we always pray. But I think you're such an example of a person that says, listen, you know, I get it. Everybody's worried about me. I need to, and if this is not going to work, then I'll do what needs to be done.
Right.
However, that unwavering faith, that is what the Lord asks us to have.
Absolutely. It's the hardest and the easiest thing to do at the same time.
This is such an important topic. I think that in our faith, right, TL? I mean, we've got another story to share, but this is a woman of faith. This is a person who walks out her faith and lives it, which right now in our world we need. We need more of it, Christian, okay? There are people who don't know the Lord who have more faith than we do. But, I mean, we need to remember the power of prayer, the power of faith. And Lisa stood on the Word of God. And not everybody gets healed miraculously, but those who
healing
do,
comes in a lot of different ways.
It does.
Because 1 Corinthians tells us there's gifts of healing. There's a lot of gifts, a lot of types of healings. So, and as a nurse, I have seen people healed through medicine, through doctors.
Absolutely.
But I've also seen divine miracles.
Right.
It's just that we can't test God in it. We can't say, God, if you don't do this for me, you know, I'm not going to believe. It has to be a place that He has given you the faith to believe it's happened. And then He walks you out in the Word. So, and that's what we see with your story, which is so beautiful. That
Thank you.
Jesus really divinely touched you and took away your breast cancer.
And I'm not more special than anyone else. It's just He loves us all the same. But I understand what you say about the miracles. My sisters would pray over the doctor's hands, or you know,
that's right,
for them to do it. And I think I just kind of bypassed everyone. But I believe it's in your believing, like where you're going to go with it.
That's right.
For me, it was just, okay, this is on you. I'm believing, and that's it. And it was something that was hard to do in the beginning.
Of course.
And then it just became, I don't know.
Your life.
I believed it.
Your life, right?
And I received it. So I think that's the hardest thing is believing to get the miracle, but then it's the easiest thing.
How long have you been
Cancer-free?
cancer-free?
11 years. 11 years.
Praise
Amen.
God.
Yeah. Thank you.
Before I heard about your story, you have also another story right on your counter.
That's my proudest story.
And so
Yeah.
we'll be right back with more of Lisa's story. You've got to hear what happens with her husband. If you thought her story is great, wait till you hear her husband's. Welcome back to Faith-Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged. It's our special edition today as we are on location. We are live in Savannah, Georgia, a place that is beautiful, friendly. I'm from the South, so you know my heart's kind of near and dear to it. But we are learning about a locally owned business, Tonilee Gourmet.
Very good.
And let's pick up your story, Lisa, because I know we've saved the best for last.
We did. It's probably well, I always tell people it's my vacation, my lottery, everything rolled up into one. But it's the miracle that I'm most proud of, and I blab it to everyone because it was witnessed by a lot of people. Almost 3 years ago, my husband was on life support, and I had been asked several times to let him go. And I can't explain it. When I had the healing, I felt the physical presence. But with this, we always came to the part where it's his believing. And I know that when you're a mother and you have children, and to a certain age, we kind of believe for them. But what do you do with a spouse? Right. And my husband, he's a Roman Catholic, and so he believes he has to pass through a lot of channels before, and so I didn't know where his believing power would be, and I couldn't ask him because he was technically brain dead. And so at that point, I just prayed for a miracle, but I didn't know if it was available, and I just had to stand on it, and I just said, Lord, this is in your hands, and what your will, it has to be made. But I'm just believing and praying for a miracle because I love my husband, and it's been.
How long had you been married?
We were married at that time. We got married in 1984, so. Yeah, it's a lot of years. What is that, 34, 35?
Yeah, 30-something years.
Yeah, and I just gotten him trained to where I wanted him, so I was like, but.
And then why was he on life support?
Craziest thing, my husband would go to the dentist for 8 years, 2 times a year, and get his teeth cleaned. And what happened was he built a very healthy fusobacteria, a very healthy bacteria that we kind of lose as we get older. In fact, the disease that he got was kind of more for young adults and children because they have a higher amount of this fusobacteria. But his fusobacteria, Lemire, went rogue and it went to his brain.
Wow.
And it did what it does, it attacks. And so it was attacking this foreign substance that was the brain. And so he was covered, his brain was covered. When I had gone to the hospital with him, they showed me a scan trying to explain to me that this man is not going to make it.
Wow.
And I saw all these spots and everything, and they were white. And I saw a little gray spot. So I said, well, that's nothing, just that little spot there. And they said, what are you looking at? And I said, well, isn't the brain gray? I mean, am I not looking at that? And they said, no, that's the only part that's good. All the rest is the bacteria. But even with that, I don't know. I just knew. I felt it. I knew it. And my sons kind of fell into line with it too. People were telling us all the time, talk some sense into your mother, and let him go. And
how long did you keep him on life support before you saw signs that he was hearing you and responding?
When we would say to them, hey, he's kind of responding, like he's kind of making noises. No, they would say to us, that's a reflex. Right. That's just something that,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And even when he did finally open up his eyes, he wasn't there. He would just stare into space.
Right.
But
so there was no brain activity. They had the EEG.
Yeah, they said to me, let him go.
Wow.
Yeah. And they said even if he does come out of this coma, he's not going to be able to walk, talk, or function.
Right.
And I said no. That spirit didn't leave. I just know it's there somewhere.
Wow.
And he woke up. He woke up.
So, all right.
And
so
I met
worked
him
in
at his
ICU
believing.
for years, and I worked on the neuro floor where people were comatose, and the family members did not extubate the patient. So in time, the patient ended up on a ward we called it the Oasis ward, where they would always be in a wheelchair. They didn't ever really speak. Their eyes were open. They were total care.
Right.
So when you're intubated, you're not breathing on your own.
Right.
And so at some point, was he breathing on his own and kicking against the tube that they knew he really is awake? Is that what happened?
They took him off the
Breathing
tube
yeah.
only when he woke up. He was on that until, until he was...
So one day his eyes opened and you knew he was responsive.
He still had that. Well, when his eyes opened, he still wasn't responsive. I thought he would be.
Okay.
And, but he wasn't. But I had a nurse there, and things kept going wrong this day. And every time something went wrong, she kept saying, "Oh, bless it." And I'm thinking, well, I would have probably said, "Oh, damn it." And so I called her on it. I said, "Aren't you mad that these things are going wrong?" And she said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, why are you saying bless it?" She said, "Well, it's already damned. I have to bless it to make it work." And funny. So the computers would start working, and I'm looking at her and I'm saying, wow. You think about how, you change your brain. And I'm thinking, the computer went out on her so many times, and she kept saying, "Oh, bless it, oh, bless it." And I'm thinking, so when he woke up and he wasn't doing what I wanted him to do and what my sons wanted him to do, I had that, but he's going to, because he's blessed. And so we kept thinking on that terms.
The nurse is kind of helping you.
Yeah,
That's a miracle, yeah.
And it's like, he's this computer's not working, and it's not gonna work. But instead of her getting angry and saying the other, she kept saying, "Oh, bless it, oh, bless," and the thing started working. And so we kind of took that even little silly approach with my husband when he wasn't saying anything and doing. We were like, well, he's got it. Oh, bless him, he's gonna get it, and he did, and he woke up. But
so they take out the
and
you're now waiting to see, is he going to live without all the machines, right?
Right. And he was getting stronger and stronger, and he learned how to walk and talk and whatnot. But the day that he was a Roman Catholic, so he, like I said, I had to find out where his believing was with mine. So he believes in Padre Pio. And so I took the picture of Padre Pio and I would put it in front of him and I'd say his name. And of course he wouldn't. And one day I just said, "Franco, they're telling me that I'm not going to have many more days left, that I'm going to have to decide, because we already had him in a long-term facility, but they only give you so much time."
Right.
And our time was running out. So I said, you need to wake up and get with it. What's this? Who is this that I'm holding? And he mouthed Pio. And I said, he said it, and I was screaming all over the place. He said it, and they said, no, it's a reflex. Or he's mimicking what you did. And I said, well, if he's mimicking, isn't something working?
Right.
They said, no. So 2 weeks he made me work for it. 2 weeks again, he didn't say anything. And then I said to him, look, this is it. We have work to do. We have a wedding to do in August. You need to get up. And I also told him, because I had went from a size 12 to a 4, I said, this is the thinnest I've ever been.
Oh my God.
You better take advantage of it and get up now. And he did. He woke up.
That is amazing.
Yep. But I also, he still didn't know who we were in relation to him, and he didn't get it. So I felt like, okay, I have him, but I don't have him.
Right.
And he kept referring to this place now as his home.
Right.
And he was, completely confused, didn't know who he was, where he was, but he knew
memory issues, right?
Yeah.
But he's walking around right now at that cash register.
Right.
That is a miracle.
It is. It really is. So I decided that I was going to take him out of this hospital, and I didn't sign him out or anything. I just stole him for the day. And I took him home, and I said, this is your house. And I brought him around and everything, and he touched things, and it wasn't maybe 2 days after that when I brought him back. I got a little in trouble for that, but
I bet.
I brought him back, and he started to really, really, really wake up to the point where he was saying, I have 2 sons, you're my wife,
Wow.
yeah. So
that is amazing.
Yeah, when he was at the house, he would touch things. I know this, I know that. I'm like, yeah,
It
you
took
know
him
it.
time.
Yeah.
That makes sense though, because parts of his brain had to start
reconnecting.
Reconnecting, right.
And the brain will do that.
Yeah.
It really will.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just wasn't his time.
So somehow they got rid of the bacteria. They killed the bacteria that was attacking him.
They did. Well, when he was admitted, he had 106 fever.
Yeah.
So when they said to me, if the bacteria doesn't kill him, the
high
brain
fevers,
will.
yeah.
And they did everything to bring that fever down. I mean, he was in
put ice
ice
packs,
and,
I know.
and fans
Yeah.
and blank.
Right.
And I mean, he looked like he had passed. He was so white. And I wanted to warm him, but I knew that wasn't right. But the fever stayed for a couple days, on and off. They would break it, go back up.
Right.
And this bacteria, the culture took 14 days, so they didn't even know what they were dealing with. But they used every brain barrier antibiotic that they could use.
Yes.
And they just bombarded him. But they were fearful that it was too late. And that's where I say, where you give your faith to the doctor. I prayed over the doctor and I prayed over his wisdom. And I took the step from the big guy and gave it to them, and
That's
we
right.
went for it.
That's what we all should do, right?
A couple drops, they screamed stop, and they got it. They successfully broke that first one. And then the other one, they treated with some kind of medicine, but they got the most damaging one from the heart and to the
Your
head.
story reminds me of the story in the Bible where the 4 friends opened up the roof and dropped them down because it was their faith that healed this man.
Yeah.
Jesus touched this man laying on the mat that was lowered down in a roof. And it wasn't the faith of the person, it was the faith of the friends. And you and your sons, God really gave you the gift of faith to believe. Like you saw beyond all the machines, you saw the Lord in it.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Well, there's a power in faith
Yeah.
that is universal. God put us here, and we have an innate ability to have faith. Most people just don't use it. We don't, and it's so sad when Christians don't believe. As we close out this show, we do want to remind everyone that's locally here in Savannah, your address again.
217 West Liberty Street in Savannah, Georgia.
We're right here on the corner, the
Of
cross
Liberty
street of Liberty
And Tatnall.
and Tatnall. Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank
You've been
you, and thank you
encouragement.
for sharing our stories.
No doubt you're going to be an encouragement way beyond what this show is.
Thank you.
Not just who you share with here, but online, on land, and on air,
And on air.
and on demand.
On demand.
So thanks
So
for
we
joining
say
us.
Ciao.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us here at
Ciao.
Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged. As always, check us out at bobbyeandtonilee.com and dailydisciples.org. If you've got a miracle or something you'd love to share, let us know. We need to hear more of these stories because they're
We
out
need to
there.
encourage each
God
other.
is working. Or if you need prayer because your faith is not where it needs to be, we'd love to pray with you and have you meet people to know that, as Lisa said, you're not alone. So until next time, God bless you. This is Bobbye and Tonilee signing off, and we hope to see you soon.